Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this is episode 2 of a podcast, Line by Line, which is hosted by myself, Adam Strawn, and I am joined by the incredible, the one and only. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Mace Around the World, and today we are discussing Aurora, and It Happened Quiet for episode 2. This is an amazing song. Take it away, Adam.
Yes, indeed. So, Aurora, she is very, very special to me. My channel started with Aurora, and I think I have the most reaction videos to her, actually sitting at a 64 videos on my account for Aurora.
Dang.
Yeah, dang, right?
I got 46.
Right, cool. But I remember as well, Aurora's the only artist who I have done, like, I think over an hour-long videos of when I've watched her, like, in concerts. And yeah, I remember as well doing that because that was last year during lockdown, and we had a really hot summer here in the UK, and I remember I was literally fanning myself and drinking a litre of water at the same time as watching it because it was so damn hot. And I even said, I think in the video, I just said, look, I've got this fan, I apologise, it's so hot, let's do this, and just like hit record. So yeah, that was a whole thing.
Did you watch the Nidoros Doman one?
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. But that's the only video I think I have for a reaction to It Happened Quiet. I don't have a singular video for just this song, which I'm quite surprised at, to be honest, because it's a fan favorite. It's a very popular song, and yeah, I obviously talk a little bit about it in the Nidoros video. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and share my thoughts on this one.
Yeah,
but
I skimmed over my initial reaction to this song, and it's early in my, when I discovered Aurora, and it's definitely a song where, I mean, even on my reaction, I was pretty surface level in terms of my, analyzing the track and the lyrics and the theme about it, but man, I was definitely surface level for my initial reaction, and this is the type of track I think you need to, oh my god, it's to say like cliche, it's deep.
But yeah, and connected to other songs as well, but we will get to that. So just to talk a little bit about Aurora herself, for those of you who might not know who Aurora is, which if you know Mace and myself's channel, then how the heck is that even possible? However, Aurora, so she was born 15th of June 1996, so way younger than Mace and myself. She's a Norwegian singer, so we're sticking with the Norwegian prodigies that we have within Angelina Jordan in the last episode and Aurora in this episode. So she is a Norwegian singer, songwriter, and record producer. She debuted with her EP Running with the Wolves, which is an absolute banger if you haven't heard that song, in 2015 through Decca Records. Later that year, she provided the backing track for the John Lewis Christmas advert, singing a cover of the Oasis song Half the World Away. Which is quite interesting. I actually went back and watched that advert, and I was like, wow, I know the advert, I heard the song, but I never realised at the time it was Aurora. So she was in my life way back then. So she released her debut studio album, All My Demons Greeting Me as a Friend, in 2016, and then 2018 she released her second extended play, Infections of a Different Kind, Step 1, followed by her studio album, A Different Kind of Human, Step 2. So we are still waiting for Step 3, Aurora. We know the new album's coming. It's coming soon, hopefully this year, but it's gone very quiet, so fingers crossed. Right, so I just want to mention as well, Aurora's success. Have you heard about the song Runaway on TikTok?
No, but she must be famous on TikTok, I'm guessing.
So yes, so basically, the song Runaway has exploded on TikTok. It's now trending where people are using that song in their own videos on TikTok. But it's gone literally insane. So, I mean, her statistics, which we'll have a look at, have absolutely blown up because of this. So the song Runaway is now number 1 on her Spotify account with 161 million, 84,884 streams at present. And yeah, her YouTube as well has kind of blown up. So she's got 2.35 million subscribers. And then the Runaway video has 131 million views. And then there's also there's a piano version with 92,000 views, which was only uploaded a month ago. And a guitar version as well, which has 47,000 views. And then the acoustic video, which she uploaded last month as well. I actually reacted to the acoustic version of this song. But that's 831,000 views. So yeah, Runaway is doing incredible. It's insane. And I'm so pleased for her that, she's getting the traction and the attention that she so rightfully deserves.
Yeah, over 11 million monthly listeners right now on Spotify.
I mean, isn't that just crazy?
It's crazy.
Yeah. So then today we are focusing, as you said, Miss, on the track It Happened Quiet. So I've gone back and listened to this a number of times since obviously it was suggested and requested by people that listen to this podcast and people that watch our channels. And yeah, I think it's one of them songs that it's so easy to hear one time, as you were saying, Miss, you were alluding to there. You can kind of skim over it and think, right, okay, yeah, I've got the gist of this. But it's upon repeat listens that you think, right, okay, I'm missing a little bit from that I didn't catch the first time. And as you said, it's a lot deeper. There's a lot more themes exploring different things. And I think you get something new from it every time you listen to it, which is common with Aurora's music. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it's a very haunting song. Like, it's almost devastatingly beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I've read that it has a connection to, well, people can interpret it however they want, but there's connective tissue to Murder Song, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Which is also one of those harrowing songs that can be interpreted many different ways, whether it be about abusive relationships or just toxic sort of love stories, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just to break down the track itself. So It Happened Quiet. It's the 5th track on the studio album Infectious of a Different Kind, Step 1. It was written by Aurora and Sasha Skarbek and produced by Magnus Skystad, Tim Brann, Roy Kerr, and Askel. Aurora wrote this song with Sasha Skarbek, the Grammy-nominated songwriter, who also wrote songs like Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus and Without You by Lana Del Rey, so quite a big name there. As said by Aurora, she started writing this song. It was the day after the release of her debut album. It possibly talks about things about, as you said there, Miss, so, like there's relationships there, there's, tough parts of a relationship, there's some revenge kind of metaphor in there as well. But again, it ultimately does depend on, the interpretation of the person who is listening to the song. And even Aurora herself has stated that, the songs on the album can have different meanings to everyone depending on how deep you dive into them. So I've got a couple of quotes as well from Aurora about the song itself and the connections that it has. So I'll just go through a few of them. So she says, and I quote, "It's quite empowering. Many of the songs are about people taking choices on behalf of themselves, about coming back for revenge. In my more delusional stories like It Happened Quiet and Churchyard, the victim comes back to haunt the one that hurt them. It's about the process and becoming a warrior, a true warrior for the world, but you have to work on your own stuff first."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've also heard her say that she likes to think of some of her songs, at least the way that narratively they're written and the subject matter of the tracks, that she's talking about being a voice for the voiceless, basically, that people that are trapped in whatever toxic relationship or abusive sort of dynamic in their life, and then trying to give a voice to those people that might not be able to speak up for themselves.
Yeah. And that's really interesting as well. So it's like Aurora almost taking a story and embodying that. Not necessarily, because some people have kind of argued and said, oh, is Aurora reflecting on, her own relationship? Is this something about a relationship that she's had? But we know that Aurora can take themes and stories and kind of write those stories herself and then embody them as a performer within the story. So not necessarily writing from a place of experience, but writing from a place of where she is storytelling, which we know that she's absolutely famous for. So it's interesting, the debate between that, and reading between the lines of what Aurora said about the song. It can be either way. I think, when you write from places of pain and whatnot, that can manifest and evolve itself into a story which might be influenced by that pain, but the story is about something else,
Yeah, I think her work as a whole and just how much empathy she brings to it, you don't have to experience some of these things firsthand. I think she is writing it as a character, like the character is the voice in the song itself. It happened quiet, but obviously she can apply some of her own experiences into the track. But I do think it's just an amazing piece of work that does, and like you said, she's just an incredible writer and storyteller and creating these worlds, and this is a dark one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And as we kind of hinted to earlier, so it is a song that is connected to other songs, obviously, within her body of work. So I've got a quote here when she did a Q&A on Twitter back in December 2018, where she says, "It Happened Quiet is actually part of a big story which you will understand in the future, but it was inspired by a very complicated relationship, if you can call it that. It is quite sad, but the world is sad sometimes. There's a connection with Murder Song 54321, where the guy kills her using the gun, and the pillow of the same song is a silencer. And it's speculated that the same guy is the one that she's on her knees for in I Went Too Far." So there's quite a connection of different songs there. We've got the mention of obviously Murder Song, we've got I Went Too Far, Churchyard, It Happened Quiet, so there's themes that she starts in one song and she carries them through, and it's quite nice. I love when artists do this, when they have songs which have connections or they continue a story on. One of my favourite bands is a band called Epica, and they do this where every album they have a song which is the same, but it's like part 1, part 2, part 3. So it's always the same title on their new, like every album that comes out, that song appears, but just has an extra part to it. And it uses like similar motifs from like the original, or it extends the story, it carries on, and then sometimes there's a trilogy, and then it'll start a new trilogy on like another album. And I think Aurora's kind of doing this as well, where there are songs. I remember when I was first reacting to Aurora, and people were saying to me, "Oh, you've reacted to this song, now you should do that one and that one because it's part of a trilogy." And I was like, didn't realise that. And when you listen to it, you can hear it, you can hear the story, you can hear the same motifs, you can almost kind of feel that same pain in some ways.
The Aurora verse.
I am here for that. Sign me up.
But yeah, I do love when artists conceptually will do things like that and carry on these ideas and really create cohesive bodies of work that if they're connected, and you can keep finding these different connections if you take the time to really dissect it and absorb it.
Yeah, and you know what, it gives that extra. It's like, for all that, we can listen to music, and we all listen to music and enjoy it for very, very different reasons. I think when you can bring those extra layers and it allows people to enjoy music in different ways, I think is remarkable. There's a band called Arion, and the way he constructs his music and his albums is every singer embodies, like he has certain albums where every singer embodies an emotion. So you'll have like anger coming in, you'll have love, you'll have hate, jealousy, but it's always the same singer for that emotion depending on the story of that song. So certain singers will appear in different songs depending on what the story is of that song. There's like other albums he's released when he's just full blown told like an epic fantasy story. And stuff like that, for me, it's so different, it's so outside of the box, and I love stuff like that. And when you see clever songwriting, storytelling in music, which Aurora is a master at, and the word storytelling, that for me comes hand in hand with Aurora. She's incredible at doing that. It's always an extra skill. It's an extra level of creativity as an artist, and as a creative, it's incredible to see and to listen to, and I always appreciate it.
I've always enjoyed concept albums just as an idea, and if they're executed well, like there's such an interesting thing that, especially in the medium of music, like an artist can create this almost cinematic world and stories, and like you said, motifs and themes, and connect them all together. A lot of rap concept albums I really appreciate over the years, as opposed to a lot of the I don't know if that's not really unique to just rap music, but when the songs don't really have any connective tissue at all, they're just kind of and they're not written really with any cohesiveness. But yeah, the concept album is an art.
No, definitely, and you can see the work that's gone into it. Even just before, even when you first listen to a couple of tracks, you can almost see it. You can feel that work that's gone into it. All of that, that writing and that connecting the dots and the strings to different songs and all of that different type of thing. You can feel it and you can hear it and you kind of appreciate it. And it's almost like, as I said, we listen to music for different reasons, where if you're doing a workout, you listen to music to get you pumped up and get you into the mood. If you just need to chill out for a little bit, you listen to that calmer music, where it might even just be, instrumental as opposed to lyrical. But then stuff like that, it is an experience when you listen to a concept album, because for me anyway, if it's like, it grips you and you're there and you're with it right until the end, you're like, wow, oh my God, like that was a concept. You know, and then to take, you know, sometimes to take single songs away from that, I don't know, something might take away from it, but again, there's some absolute standouts and you just have to listen to them again, but it's always part of a wider body of work, and that's incredible.
Yeah, I was listening to this at work, actually. Just, you know, by myself, and then my colleague came outside, and they heard the music playing, and they were like taken aback. They were like, "Are you listening to like religious music or something?" Like, because you know the song is quite it's a slow pace sort of, and the vocals are so like angelic and incredible, and just I thought it was quite funny because if you just heard it and you don't know anything about Aurora. And yeah, that was her. Are you listening to religious music? I'm like, no, this is Aurora. This is an amazing song.
Sit down and listen.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be fair though, towards the end of the song, when we got that choir sound that comes in as well, it's very easy to hear it like that. So
yeah,
I am not surprised. All right.
I was inspired too. Yeah, just listening to the song, I listened to it maybe a handful of times, and I was like inspired to like start writing a concept song. Like it inspired me just creatively.
Oh wow, that's cool, man. Well, keep us updated if anything like that does occur.
Oh, I'm working on it.
Okay, I'm here.
Got the old sampler. It's all going. It's going slowly.
I'm here for that. Let me know when that lands.
No, I'm learning finally to produce, and it's really, really difficult. So I have a lot of appreciation for people that make music on the digital music. Well, I mean through a DAW, like so digital audio workstation. Like professional ones, they're complicated, man.
I can imagine. A lot of hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, if you need me to throw some lyrics down, let me know.
Absolutely. I'll get a feature.
Yeah, oh god, imagine that. I'll be here for it. Right, all right, let's break down the song. So, this is It Happened Quiet by Aurora. So we have the first 4 lines, and the song starts as follows. Eyes blue and hollow, as it rains against their will. Feathers falling out of a pillow, as if time's standing still. So quite a nice haunt. It's like almost setting that tone of this haunting vibe, as you said, that goes throughout the entire song. But again, it's for me that's beautiful poetry. Yeah. And you can visualize, you can almost visualize that, you know, that it is that kind of sense of, if this was a film, the cinematography now, you would have that shot of almost
focus on the eyes, and then
on the eyes, and you'd see like maybe like a blast of like the pillow, and then the feathers would come out of the side, and then it'd be in slow motion, just slowly falling towards the ground. But then, as she says, as if time's standing still. So maybe they just hang in the air for a moment because something's happened. And I think that's really important here. It's almost like we are watching an instance of where something has happened to somebody. And it is that moment of, we're here. This is what's happened. And it's that, like almost that, breathe out, right, something's happened.
The vocal style, like it's so evocative. And then how it's kind of minimalistic. It's just that, is it like an acoustic guitar? Or is it like almost sounds like a harp or something. But I think it's just an acoustic guitar and then manipulated a little bit. But it's quite minimalistic, and the focus is right there, right from the start on the melody, and that's just incredible. Yeah,
agreed. And then we go straight into, I can't remember much more, but I know it happened quiet, so quiet. So the as you say, the vocals there change completely, where we get so much of that performative, that emphasizing it happened quiet, then we get a beat, so quiet. So we get that repeat of that. You know, so it is almost like, you know, this is the character that Aurora's embodying in this story, saying, I can't remember much more, this is what's happened, but I remember that it happened quiet. So quiet, almost that they're reflecting on how it happened.
And just that line in itself, like I bring that back, and it makes me think of how I was talking about earlier with the voice for the voiceless thing, and just as sort of this metaphor about just society as a whole. Sometimes, you know, it happened quiet, so quiet. Like, don't bring it up. Don't make a fuss. Like, don't make a trouble. You know, don't worry about that. Just you'll be okay. Like, it's like, no.
Yeah, make a point of it. Yeah, let's address what actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then the next part, do you want to take that, Miz?
Sure. So we move on to words falling out through the window. All that remains is a silent call. Is the earth colored red? As I land like a flower on the meadow, love is wild.
So yeah,
Imagery there is amazing.
it is. It's beautiful, and the way that she sings this as well. You know, it's like it all flows into one another. Yeah, it's beautiful. This section for me, it's like one of my favorite sections of the song.
Yeah, words falling out through the window. All that remains is a silent call. Things we do for love.
Yeah,
Jamie
essentially.
Lannister.
Yeah, pushing.
Sorry, Bran.
Yep, you're out of here.
Yeah, everybody.
But it's nice because, you know, it's almost as if, you know, again, it's emphasizing that the words that you want to say when you want to talk about it, they are literally metaphorically here falling through the window. They're gone now, and all that remains is a silent call. So it's almost that wanting to say something, but there's no voice there. Is the earth coloured red? Question mark. Now that's a really interesting line. You know, it does lead into, you know, is the earth coloured red? So is that a metaphor for blood? Has there been like a murder here that's happened? You know, like are we talking about, you know, that bloody imagery, or is there something more? You know, that's a really
More
interesting lyric.
as opposed to the literal
Yeah,
earth colored red blood in the dirt, like
yeah,
seeping into this dirt, or is it more of a metaphorical seeping of this horrible event or whatever's taken place?
yeah.
And the melody sort of transitions there too. It's really, really, really nice.
Yeah, it is, definitely. As I land like a flower on the meadow, love is wild. So again, it's almost that thing of saying, you know, it's beautiful, you know, this kind of imagery of somebody kind of like landing on in like a bed of flowers, shall we say, on the meadow. But it's almost like it's contradictive. You know, we've got this beautiful image of that happening, but before that we had this, you know, incident of where something's happened, which means that this person can't even talk about it. So love is wild because love is so different, you know, like love is different to each different person. And I think in this instance, we've had two instances where something's happened, but love is still the undercurrent of both of them. So it is almost saying that for all that whatever's happened has happened, love is wild. It makes us do insane, crazy things.
And could it also be taken like somebody's literally being thrown out of a window and then like screaming, like words falling out through the window. All that remains is a silent call. Is the earth colored red as I land like a flower on the meadow? Like this person has been thrown out of the window.
Yeah, possibly.
This fit of rage.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's nice as well because it almost emphasizes and goes back to that almost metaphor and motif of the very first set of lyrics there, like feathers falling out of a pillow. You know,
Yeah.
as I land like a flower in the meadow, you can almost see that visually, like you know, cutting from like
floating down.
Yes, exactly, floating. Where you see the feathers drifting, floating down, then you maybe see this person thrown out of the window, floating down to land on a bed of, you know, in a meadow.
Yeah.
It sounds beautiful, but you know, it's horrific when you think about it. If that is what has happened, but again, that is, you know, undercurrent there by, you know, the statement love is wild. So it is saying you can have beauty and you can have horror, and underneath that is that love, which is so different in different circumstances. So then we get this next lyric here, which is you fell apart like a stone can be broken into sand, 1,000 pieces spread across a crying land.
Dang. Like a stone can be broken into sand, 1,000 pieces just chipped away slowly. Like what is that saying? Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. So again, it is almost that person potentially coming to the realization of the actions that they've done, and they are physically breaking apart, you know, into 1,000 pieces spread across a crying land. So it's almost like that realization of what you have done. You know, this is what you have done, and this is how you've affected me in this situation. You know, and that is them literally breaking down metaphorically, having that realization of, oh my God, this is what I done, all in the name of what I thought was love. And now this is me breaking down and spreading across a crying land. So this is me under the realization of the people that I have hurt. You know, there is a crying land of people that I have hurt. And this is like, and I am involved in that because I must spread across this crying land because I've hurt, you know, multiple people before. So it could be for me, it could be that sense of that realization of there have been moments when I've hurt people in different ways, all in the name of what I believe to be love. And then therefore, because I'm breaking down like a stone into sand, a hard person, a hard outer shell of somebody that has that realization suddenly of what they've done, and they turn into sand, which is obviously what makes up the stone. And then that is them breaking down and then spreading across the crying land, which potentially could be, you know, a multiple group of people or many people that have been hurt before.
And then we come back into, but you know it happened quiet. So that phrase is repeated. Obviously, it's the title of the track. And I think that does speak to that sort of, well, for me at least, like that almost stigma or it's not even necessarily something that is done on purpose all of the time, but sometimes dark subjects are not what we want to focus on just as people. So we kind of, I'll deal with that tomorrow. I'll deal with that. And if, just brush it under the rug and let's just focus on these happy, instant gratification, these happy things.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's a massive, and that's something that is so basically integral for everybody. I think everybody's experienced that in some part when it's like, right, this has happened, but I'm not yet ready to process this, so I'll put that off until another time. And it kind of eats you up to the point of when you feel like you have to. But sometimes, we have those moments when things happen and we don't have the words yet to say anything. So you do remain quiet, so quiet.
Absolutely.
But then it's interesting as well because this goes back to the imagery what Aurora was talking about with the song when she was saying, this could be about a girl haunting their murderer, essentially the person that has killed them. And they no longer have that voice anymore to question them. However, they can haunt them and remind them of what they did. So, I can't remember much of that day, but I know it happened quiet, so quiet. So, this could be a presence, a spirit, maybe that's from the afterlife that's come back to haunt this person and say, look, I remember it happened quiet. I can't remember much of that day because I am no longer corporeal, but I remember it happened quiet. And just them being there, the motif of them haunting that person could make them fall apart.
And we also have those lyrics just a little bit later, are your dreams as dead as they seem? And
yes.
She repeats that a couple times, like, are they haunting them, literally haunting their dreams? And then, don't you speak over my voice, right? But we'll get to that in a minute here.
Yeah, of course. So, we have the return again of, words falling out through the window. All that remains is a silent calm, which is interesting. Is the earth coloured red? As I land like a flower on the meadow, love is wild. So, again, we had it's that same motif again, words falling out through the window. All that remains is a silent calm. So this is the aftermath now of something that's happened. So whatever it is that's happened, be it a murder, be, this horrific event, it is the calm almost after the storm. So the incident's happened now, but again, it's revisiting that again. So is the earth coloured red as I land like a flower on the meadow. And Aurora's vocal there is beautiful as she goes, really up into a higher register and then brings it down. And that kind of lower, love is wild. And she really slows down on those words as well. And I think that really re-emphasises that point of, that realisation of the person who is in the story and also the person, the kind of perpetrator of the incident, that love is wild. That is what, is instigated this entire thing.
Yeah, her vocals on this thing are just, she's always so unique, and the vocals really make this track, they're so emotional, and she really gets that across. It evokes what the song is, the themes of the song, just through the vocals. They're amazing.
Yeah, and you know what? Aurora is incredible with that. She really, really is. She knows her voice inside out, back to front, and upside down, and everything is intentional, I think, with Aurora when she performs. And even when you see her perform live and, you see that same performance element comes out of her where sometimes she dips into certain words or lyrics in a slightly different tone, or she might take them in a slightly different direction, but it's always intentional in response to what the song is about. Which makes...
her just live, how animated she gets.
Oh.
Her performance style is really incredible.
I love it. I absolutely love it. When you watch her hand movements and her, she embodies it fully where she does, she can't stop moving. And I love that. She is just so performative in every way. Such an authentic artist. That's one of the main things I love about her. But then,
she really gets into it, in the zone, we talked about in episode 1 with how artists and performers, how when they're in that, they're not even thinking, they're just really 100% invested in that performance.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It is losing yourself, within that moment, and you know exactly why you're there. You feel like you're in that space where you can just perform and just do that, and it's incredible. And that's why she's one of the greats.
And then Doris Doman, that performance, just the setting and the arrangements, just incredible. And God,
yeah, what a beautiful place. I'd love to visit there actually, because what a beautiful building it is. It's absolutely stunning. But yeah, hopefully when the world is back to normal, I will be making a trip to Norway and I'll be having a good look around. So hopefully that'll be part of my trip, but we'll see. All right, so then we get the two lyrics, which, as you mentioned before, so are your dreams as dead as they seem? Are your dreams as dead as they seem? So we get that twice. So interesting, the repetition and also the lyrics themselves.
And just before that, she does that awesome the ooze. The vocals are so incredible. But yeah, are your dreams as dead as they seem? So, damn.
Yeah, it's interesting. Are your dreams as dead as they seem? So it's interesting when we talk about dreams. So everyone has like dreams and aspirations and like what they want to be, you know, like or where they want to be in life, what it is that they want to do with their life. So are your dreams as dead as they seem? So it is almost that. I mean, to take the word dead, for example, so Aurora does lean on this theme of death quite often in her music. She always has a very interesting approach to it. And sometimes it's not kind of a fearful approach. It's more kind of just a processing that it will happen. But I think in this instance, we are taking it the literal form of the saying, you know, like, are your dreams as dead as they seem? So, you know, you as a person, you were a person who had aspirations, you had dreams, you had desires to go on and do things in your life, but now you've done this atrocity, now you've done this horrendous thing. Are all those dreams dead now? You know, or are they just dead as they seem? Are those no longer going to happen? Is this what you wanted from your life? It is almost that question of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. She does often write about those darker subjects. That's why one of the things I love about her music, like she's definitely not scared and doesn't shy away from any heavy topics.
Yeah. And I think it's important, and apparently, so Aurora apparently has an album that it's already written and recorded, and it's going to be released upon her death, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so that would be really interesting to get an idea of what that's about and how that'll possibly change over time, because obviously, you know, she's so young now, and to have written that album, how will she feel about that in 20 years' time? Will she go back and change it, or will she literally leave it like a time capsule until that moment? It's really interesting, and I've never known any other artist do that before.
And it's just as a social experiment, because the people listening to it, if they had the knowledge of, you know, why she did this, because obviously she's not going to be there to see the reaction to it and stuff like that. And the people listening to it are going to know, you know, this artist wrote this knowing that they're not going to be around when it's released and what it contains.
And again, it just further emphasizes the artist that Aurora is. You know, like the reason why she records music, the reason why she does what she does, it's because it is just her. She lives and breathes music and loves that process of writing music, performing music. And, you know, it's just her life. You know, it is the person that she is. And I love that about her. That just comes across, as we mentioned before, how she embodies and, like, you know, the song and music when she moves on stage and things like that. And, like, doing something like this, you know, it's again, she's not going to benefit from that. She's not going to feel like the impact of how well that album's going to sell, because she won't be here. But it's just she's done that because that is the person that she is. That is the artist that she is, and it's the authenticity there, which is incredible.
Yeah, definitely that genuine nature to her work. And I read that she started making music like at 6 years old or something. So probably immediately and was like recording songs, I think at 10 years old or a few years somewhere around there. And like her mother encouraged her to, you know, record and release these songs, because it's just natural talent. And
thank God she did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know her mother reached out to me?
Yeah, you mentioned that in episode 1 when we were talking about that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, thanks for covering and listening to Aurora."
Yeah, which I still can't get over, and I'll probably mention that every single episode, but, you know. Yeah, I'm still not over it. Anywho, it's incredible. Yeah, what a lovely, lovely woman as well to chat to briefly, so, yeah, it was lovely.
Did you talk to her, like, on the phone, or she...
No, just via message.
Oh, okay,
yeah. I mean, I'd love to, but yeah, just DMs, yeah. Nice. All right, so then we got the next part of the song, which is, in fact, Mace, do you want to do this part?
Sure. Don't you speak over my voice. I will return from the shadows, and I'll bleed in your bed. Turn it red, like the ground outside your window. Love is wild. And I love the melody here. Like, it's just incredible.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's remarkable how it just takes this turn. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was beautiful. But yeah, it is exactly that. And then that drawn out love is wild at the end. But it's nice, it is almost that kind of empowerment of this person. It's like, right, you'll listen to me now.
Yeah.
I have my voice, so don't you speak over my voice. Don't you try and kind of word in your own way what happened here. Let me tell you what happened here. Let me tell the world what happened here. I'll return from the shadows. So what you've done and what's happened to me, that is not me gone now. I will return. And it's almost that, I'll bleed in your bed. I will leave that mark on your life the way that you took my life away. So I'll bleed on your bed and turn it red like the ground outside your window. So again, it's emphasizing that point that you brought up, Miss, earlier about, is this somebody literally being thrown out of the window? And this very much backs up that case. It is that person saying, I'll bleed in your bed, turn it red like the ground outside your windows where I was potentially thrown and landed on the ground. So it is that sense of no matter how much you try and get rid of me, no matter how much you try and cross me out of your mind and think, right, that happened, it's no longer relevant, I will put a permanent mark on your life because I am not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think there's a multitude of meanings you can look at these lyrics. Like, I will return from the shadows. So I think that can speak to that. What we were talking about earlier, where there's like this stigmatization, whether it be somebody in a toxic, abusive relationship or somebody's been, sexually assaulted. Sometimes the abusers and the people that, for some reason, defend the abusers, shut up. Like, they're gonna try to tell that person not to create a stink, not to, how victims of abuse, I think sometimes these things can go on for years, and then people dissuade them from coming forward with their stories. And then I will return from the shadows. So it's sort of like you said, that empowerment and coming back, and that can be taken literally as a revengeful way, or just speaking and getting that power back for yourself.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's nice as well because we get that moment of when she refers earlier on about the voice and the voice being there, like all that remains is a silent call. And then we get here that line, don't speak over my voice. It is that, for me, it is empowerment. It is, for the voice that I do have, you will not speak over and you'll not take away my voice, and being able to voice what happened and being that presence, as I said. So, yeah. And then again, we have this repetition at the end of the song to bring us to the end, which is love is wild, love is wild, love is wild, love is wild. So again, I think it's that just re-emphasizing that love is wild. It drives us to do insane things, and it can, push people to the edge.
The volatility of it. Well, it's like it's like people that murder their spouses, or it is wild. It's volatile. It's crazy. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
But hey,
it's interesting as well, Tony, when you think about Murder Song. And, like the lyrics that lean into that song as well. And we get that moment of, that, and here I go, oh, 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 oh. And again, we have that repetition of that. It's quite similar, not in the sense of the way it's sung, but just we have that repetition in fours again.
Murder Song, am I mistaken? Or is it more so like, it's written as like, it's like a mercy killing, right? Like,
yeah.
This person's being shot in the head, and the pillow is used to
the silencer.
Sort of silencer, and they're shooting them because we don't really know exactly why. But she says that lyric. She's like, "Oh, I hope he knows it's for mercy or something."
Killing me for mercy, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And again, if these songs are connected, I think this would be obviously the sequel to Murder Song, and in that. I think it's that stages of understanding what's happened. So as you said earlier, sometimes when you get people that are victims of potential abuse, and that could be the voice of the person who is the victim here, who is kind of almost trying to justify what this person has done to them because they love them so much. Then
good point.
And then this is the point here when that kind of essence of that person who has now passed away because of what the perpetrator has done to them, be it shot them, thrown them out the window, whatever it is, they've now come to the realization of actually, this is what's happened, like now I'm accepting what's happened. You did this to me and I will not be going anywhere. And it is that reflection, almost love is wild, love is wild. This person did this to me out of some weird, twisted form of love. I loved that person, and yet I am staying to haunt them, to let them know that, I am not going anywhere. I will return from the shadows, and don't speak over my voice. I'll bleed in your bed and I'll leave my mark on your life as a realization of what you did.
Totally.
So it's quite interesting that in terms of, putting them two songs together. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to like Murder Song first and then listen to this song straight after and just listen to how they flow into one another. And I just love when music does that.
They're on different albums though, correct? I think. Yeah, It Happened Quiet is on her second album, I think, and it was Murder Songs on the first one.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting concept. I kind of love I love when artists do this in general. I love when Aurora does this in particular because there's always that air of ambiguity as well. So again, you and I have sat and we've spoken about this, but other people might listen to that and think of something completely different. Like I know that with Murder Song, for example, I read some interpretations of that song when people were like talking, saying, "Oh no, this is more like it's about like Mother Earth, talking about how society is like ruining the Earth." And I was like, that's quite interesting. I don't know where that interpretation came from, but again, it's just as valid. In terms of if that's what you hear and if that's what you feel when you listen to that, fair enough. But it's interesting as well to think about this song, like we've sat and gone through that where we've kind of hinted towards where this could be a moment of where, there's been an atrocity happen, somebody's potentially been thrown out of the window, fallen to the ground, and then this is their spirit almost coming back and saying to that perpetrator, I'm not going to go anywhere, you need to suffer and realise that, the gravity of your actions here, which is the perfect sequel to what happened in Murder Song. But as always, that is our interpretation. I will throw this out to the listeners and ask you in the comments for this video. Please do comment and say, what is your interpretation of this song? What are your thoughts of it? Do you agree with Mace and I, or do you think that it is something entirely different? And do you feel like it connects to Murder Song, or in fact any other songs of Aurora? Make sure you do leave them in the comments down below, because it's always so fascinating, isn't it, to read what other people think of the songs that you've heard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just looking at some of the comments too on YouTube, just under the Aurora It Happened Quiet audio, and it's just amazing all of the different interpretations and what people are able to take from it and apply to themselves in the way that they relate to the song. It's just that's the beauty of music.
It certainly is, yeah. When you can, place yourself within a song, or you were more to it for a certain reason. That's always the best music. I love that. Yeah, I love that, and yeah, anything that touches your soul, it makes you think like, right, oh god, yeah, I can almost feel what she's singing there. I can feel that emotion, or I can feel this experience of what she's talking about. The best music does that.
And her music is always food for thought for me. It always gets me thinking, and it's just the way that she questions just our humanity.
Yeah, massively. You know what? I think I said this about Aurora from the very first time I started to react to her, is that I guess she's like recognized as, a pop artist, I guess, even though I wouldn't say her music for me is necessarily pop. I think it's a lot more progressive. Yeah. But yeah, I guess like she does get lumped into that genre quite often. However,
prog pop.
Yeah, I would say that. Prog pop. Prog pop. Love the genre.
I don't think that's a thing, but I just made it up. Yeah, she kind of ascends any sort of genre labels anyway, right? Like, it's just super unique.
Yeah.
Beautiful music.
Yeah, that's it. But it's always with an underlining message. And, she's done that from she's young now, but even from such a younger age, when she first started writing music, she's not just writing music for, so she's not just writing it for hits on a radio or whatever. She's writing it for a particular thing she has to say, for a meaning, for something that she wants to get across, a story she wants to tell. And that for me it adds to the authenticity of who she is. And that's why...
Or an area of darkness that we want to shine the spotlight on.
Yeah.
Things or even that don't get talked about necessarily enough, right?
Agreed. Or even just an area of darkness potentially from Aurora's life that she wants to talk about and share with her fans, which is, again, it's authenticity, and it is one of the many reasons why I absolutely love and adore Aurora. All right, miss, so I have one last question for you.
Surely. Okay,
so It Happened Quiet, I'm guessing, is this one of your favorites by Aurora?
Yeah, for the darker ones, yeah.
Right, so my question
was... I really like Queendom is incredible, and Runaway, yeah.
I was just going to say, my question was going to be, do you have a favourite track by Aurora, if you had to choose one?
I really like Queendom. But, I'm going to... It's always changing, though, so...
Yeah. You know what? I go through phases. So I've got her 3 albums on vinyl, and they're beautiful, by the way. Like the cover art and everything's fantastic inside. And I love there's a message that she's written in one of the albums as well to her fans. And I have to say a little thank you as well to one of my followers called Eva, who sent me the first album, the first full album on vinyl, because I couldn't get it in this country, and she sent it over to me. So thank you very much if you're listening, Eva. But yeah, it was cool, man. Really, really nice of her. But I'm listening to a lot of Dance on the Moon at the moment. I think that song is genius. Such a well-written song, and beautiful. And a song I'd love to obviously look over in the future. But yeah, I go from that to Infections of a Different Kind, and A Different Kind of Human as well. I think A Different Kind of Human is a beautiful, beautiful song. Really, really, really beautiful. And yeah, that one hits me quite often. And I found myself, when I first listened to that a few times, I got quite emotional. Just the whole concept behind that song, I think, is wonderful. So yeah, it's really inspiring, really empowering.
Absolutely. Did you ever see her when she collabed with Warjuna?
Yeah, I have a reaction video of that. That blew my mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody commented saying, due to your accent, I can tell, from the part of the country that you're from, that you must have some, Norwegian kind of history behind you. And, it's true. Obviously, way back in the day, when the Vikings kind of came over from Norway and landed within England, they landed in Northumbria, which was very Anglo-Saxon based, which is where I'm from, which is the northeast of England. And yeah, it was just nice that somebody commented saying oh God, you can feel this because you can feel your roots and your history, which I found quite funny. But it's there's probably some air of truth in there. But even in that, it's just so powerful. Vordruna, and Einar Selvek, his voice is stunning. It's so rich and so powerful. And then when he sings that with Aurora, I love Aurora in that performance. It's very different from her type of performance, shall we say? But it's almost there's that rich history, there's that rich power in that performance. It's beautiful. I love everything about that.
Yeah, the history is something that I definitely dialed in on, and how it feels like there's something. You don't even need language to connect to it. It's more just,
Yeah, beauty, powerful, all of that. So if you haven't seen that, anyone that's listening, go and check that out straight away, because it is phenomenal. Yeah, it's such a moment of epic, grand scale. It's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, epic is the word. And not epic, oh, that's epic, man.
Yeah.
Epic as in the old myths and legends.
Yeah, it's just, it's a beauty. Definitely go and check it out.
It's a beauty.
All right, Miss. So anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I'm good. I look forward to week number 3. That was a lot of fun chatting today. And everybody in the comments, I'll try to join you soon. So let us know if you have any questions. What's your interpretation of the song? And yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks, my man.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for listening again. I hope you enjoyed episode 2, and I hope that you are enjoying this weekly thing that Mason and I are doing, which is line by line. So we are taking requests for the next song that you'd like us to look at. So it could be any artist at all. So make sure that in the comments down below you do leave us your suggestions of who you'd like us to listen to and the song itself. And then what Mason and I will do is we'll go away, we'll listen to the song, have a look at the lyrics, and then we'll come back and record another episode like this. But yes, please make sure that in the comments down below you do leave what your thoughts are on It Happened Quiet, if you're a big fan of Aurora, the other songs that you like by her, what you enjoy about the podcast, if you enjoy this whole setup that Mason and I are doing, and make sure that you do suggest another song for us to look forward to, and then we will listen to it, and we'll be back for episode 3. Episode 3, and who will it be? Who knows? Find out next week. Alright, so yes, big thank you again everybody for listening, and until next time, take care.
Take care, everyone.